right, everybody. Welcome back to episode 2 of the new Nampa School Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Keefe, and I'm excited to have another great conversation. Joining me today, as always, and for future purposes, is Matt Sizemore. Matt, how you doing today?
Future, present, past, whatever you want to call it. Here I am. I'm doing great, Tyler. Thank you so much for having me. I guess that's just kind of the plan anyway. So good to be here. Really looking forward to today's discussion. Special guest joining us today, and I'm finally got the name down correctly. Joe Bobogie, band director at Skyview High School. Joe, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here today. How you feeling?
Pretty good. It's a little bit of an early morning in the summer, but you know.
I could see that. I could see that for any teacher having that summer off, and now at just past 8:30. So, yeah, I understand.
Yeah, you know, again, Joe, welcome, and thank you to everybody joining us for the first time. For those of you that don't know, since this is only our second episode, this podcast is really all about keeping you, the community, the staff, anyone really informed and connected with what's happening within the Nampa School District. Today, we're going to be putting the spotlight on Skyview High School's band program and their music education. It is kind of early, as we just said, and an exciting upcoming fundraiser. So let's go ahead and get started if you guys are good with jumping right into it.
Yeah. Okay, Joe, I want to start things off right here. We want to get to know you a little bit. We can't just say Joe Bobogie. Here he is. He's the Skyview band director. Just talk about that. Let's get to know you. Obviously, to be the director of a musical program, you have to be a musical person. Where or when, I guess you could say, did music start becoming a big part of your life? And how? Tell us a little bit of how it's led to where you are now.
So I grew up singing all through elementary, and in my district, we actually started band in 4th grade.
Oh, wow.
So in 4th grade, I started the clarinet. And in 6th grade, I got to add choir to that mix. And so I took 2 music classes, and those are the only 2 offered in my district, all through middle school and high school. And as I kind of made my way through middle school, I actually switched to oboe, which is my primary instrument now. Moved through high school, did district, region, and state level band, district and region choir, district and region orchestra. And then I did musical theater, did indoor percussion, marching band, pretty much everything I could do in my district that was musical, a little bit of jazz band. We didn't have quite the structure for jazz band like we do in Nampa School District, where I came from. And all that was growing up in central western Pennsylvania, in a school about the size, actually, of Skyview, but it was the only high school in the district. Then after that, I went for my degree in music education from Indiana University of Pennsylvania, which is a state school in the town of Indiana, Pennsylvania.
Oh.
There's a lot of those in Pennsylvania if you just Google it. After that, I pursued oboe as my primary instrument. I did music composition lessons and conducting lessons. And then kind of from there started my music education journey in adulthood.
Gotcha. And how long have you been the Skyview director?
So I just finished my first year.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Obviously, with everything you just said, incredibly musical, and you've been doing music. It's been a big part of your life, it sounds like, since mid-elementary school. So you're here now. Music's been a part of your life for many, many years. I got to ask before we get into Skyview, you doing musical things on the side? Like, are you playing the oboe in a band around town or anything like that?
Actually, yes.
Really?
So for about 3-4 years, I was the principal oboist for the Meridian Symphony. And then I actually currently play with the Treasure Valley Concert Band, which is based out of Boise State University. It's an all-adult ensemble, mixture of professional musicians that are former teachers, just adults that really like playing their instrument, that maybe are some kind of analyst or work in a hospital. There's just a wide range of people, some retirees. But that's pretty much all I get to do nowadays, especially with being a high school band director. It's a little more of a time commitment, so I don't have a whole lot of time to do much else.
Understood. So
I'm gonna cut you off here because I can't get this image out of my mind. So the great movie Anchorman, Ron Burgundy is playing the jazz flute. For some reason, I just keep picturing you doing the jazz oboe, but I know that's not a thing per se. But what is
it does exist?
Oh, really?
It does. I'm not a jazz oboist. I'm more of a classical player, but it exists.
I'm gonna have to look this up.
Yeah. So no single oboe player in like a local punk band or anything going on right now?
No, not for me.
There's still time. So let's jump over to Skyview now. Skyview's marching band program. Tell us a little bit about it, because when I think, I don't know much. I was in choir, but I was never in band. So tell us a little bit about your band. I think of like drumline and stuff like that. Anything like that, or?
Yeah, so the way band works in Nampa School District is the first trimester is marching band for all students, and then the second and third trimester are kind of the concert groups where we play inside stuff. At Skyview, that means that we have the marching band class, which is actually where all of our woodwind and brass players are placed. And then we have a drumline class for all of our percussionists, and then a color guard class for all the students that have flags and sabers and toss things in the air.
Well put.
Very terrifying for me. I tried it a few times, but I'll leave it to the professionals.
Yeah.
After the first trimester, then we move into our concert stuff, which at Skyview, that means 2 concert bands, one ensemble, which is audition-based, and then a concert band, which is open to the rest of the band students in the school. The percussionists move into what's called percussion ensemble, which allows them to do percussion techniques and play percussion-specific pieces, while also then learning music to play with the band classes. So they don't actually meet together. They meet separately, and then before concerts, we'll spend some time outside of class combining. Then we also have, this upcoming year, we'll have 2 jazz bands at Skyview. One of them is audition only and meets for the full year. And then the other one is the second and third trimester that is open to any student interested that's part of a music program at Skyview. And that is all of our main band classes at Skyview. And it's pretty common within the district. There's some variations, but that's what we've got.
That's interesting to me, because my high school growing up, it was a very small town. We literally had 2,000 people total. We just got stoplight in the past 10 years. And my high school alone, my graduating class was 95.
Wow.
So when you're saying all these different band things, I'm just thinking we had band. We had choir. That was it. That's all we had. And I mean, I loved my time. I played in the band. I played tuba. Loved it to death. But to hear these different jazz things, the percussion ensemble, the wind ensemble, I'm just like, holy cow. Like, this would be fantastic for a lot of those kids out there that from my hometown who would have done those kind of things. So the other thing you kind of mentioned in there was trimesters, and we're switching over to trimesters. And I know for some people, trimesters they're super excited. Some are very hesitant. My high school growing up was trimester. So to me, that's all I knew. And when I came to Nampa hearing those semesters, I'm like, what? Why? Like, it just didn't make sense. So you kind of mentioned some of that, how you're able to do different things in different parts of the year. But in a nutshell, how is this really going to impact the performing arts?
Sure. Within the way that performing arts are set up within the trimester system, students are still able to be in their music classes for the full year and get the full experience and be able to go to all of the local area festivals and performances that we've been used to. All that's changing is the grading period, really, for the most part. What is a really big change for us, because we are staying the full year, is the move to meeting every day. So, for example, the marching bands, we were meeting every other day for the first semester. With the trimester system, those 12 weeks, we essentially have double the rehearsal time, which actually has allowed me to take an hour away from our evening rehearsals and give some more time outside of the day, because we'll have a longer school day anyway, so that kind of works out for everybody. And the amount of growth that we're going to be able to see is great, because they're going to play their instrument every day. As much as I would love to think that all my students practice on the off days, I know that's not exactly feasible and realistic. I mean, I don't practice every day as much as I should. But just having that ability to see them every day is going to be really game-changing for us in both the marching and concert season, because, again, that also means that the concert ensembles are meeting twice as more, if not more, because they're a 2-trimester course for band. The choir classes and orchestra classes that are 3 trimesters are meeting way more, and they're going to be able to get a lot more really musical learning done, and they're going to be able to get into the music way more than they were able to before.
And so looking at that, change is hard it's human nature. Change is hard. And one of the things that I've heard a lot over the year since the announcement was made by Dr. Russell that we're switching to trimesters was this is going to impact so much. It is. It's going to be a logistical, on paper nightmare getting everybody in places for the first year until we really get that solidified. But what you're saying, there are benefits. You get to see your kids twice as much. They get to practice more. I can't even imagine practicing on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and not having those middle days, because it'd be like Wednesday. Okay, let's review what we did on Monday and let's get back up to speed. So I think it's going to be a huge benefit in the long run. We're going to have some obstacles to overcome right away, which everybody knows that. But it sounds like despite all of that, it's kind of an exciting change as well.
Yeah. We always know how to make it work in performing arts.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you guys get it done, which is awesome. It's fun to watch, and something that now that Matt's here, between the two of us, we're going to be able to get out to more of those things, to be able to promote the arts, because it's huge. And last week we were talking with Will about, everybody in the district's all about athletics, which, yes, to a point. But we want to really balance it out with the activities and the arts, because I know for me personally, if it wasn't for football and choir, I wouldn't have got through high school. Mm-hmm. So those are the kind of things that people sometimes don't think about is, we are promoting those things because it's keeping kids in school. And so, Matt, your kind of thoughts on that? You said you were in choir in high school?
I was. My senior year, I was in choir. It's funny because the choir director actually, I was taking an auto shop class, and the choir director came in to that class and said, and was talking to the teacher, and I went to a big high school, a lot of people, and he was talking to him. He couldn't hear him, and then he pointed at me. The teacher pointed at me, and I said, "Oh no, what did I do?" And they called me up and pulled me outside and said, "Hi, Matt. I'm the choir director. I hear you can sing." And I said, "Who would have told you that? Who have you been talking to?" But long story short, he convinced me to come into the choir and as a bass, and I really enjoyed it. And kind of to what you were saying, I also played football and track, and so I was always doing something. At choir, I ended up enjoying a whole lot, because you just think, without really that musical experience and knowing much about it, you think you just go in, they say, okay, sing like this and do that. And as you obviously know, there is so much more to that in terms of reading music and being able to harmonize perfectly and hit your spots. You don't even hear so many of the different voices, but when you isolate those voices before it all comes together, it's really, really something beautiful. And to your point, it granted, I was always playing a sport otherwise or something, but I didn't really worry about whatever else I was doing. I'd just go home. So it kept me going, but it really brought a new perspective to my life in terms of just being a musical person and appreciating the music I was already listening to, getting a whole new perspective in harmony and singing and whatnot. Yeah. I don't know where you go from there.
So actually, I do have a thought.
Great.
There's a really great demonstration that some of my former teachers have done before, where you take your ensemble and you say, okay, we're going to play what playing 70% of the notes correct sounds like.
Huh.
And you listen, and it's beyond belief on how terrible it'll sound.
Jarring.
And even saying, okay, now play 98% of the notes correct, and it'll still, it'll sound great, and then you'll just be like, oh. So performing arts is one of those things where we really work to create that idea of being independent on what you're doing and contributing 100% to the group. It's not like you can just say, oh, you sit out. That doesn't work necessarily as well for our kind of classes and our groups, because we have to have everybody contributing the same, or else it'll sound wrong and not sound as pleasing or as musical as it really could be. So that's kind of a really neat thing to think about, is that we're asking our students to really put in 100% effort all the time.
Tyler, it sounds something I know that we were going to talk about is kind of the similarities between music and football. It's, as you know, we both played football, and something we were told several times as individuals on that 11-man squad, whether you're offense or defense, do your job. And so if you're, as an individual, doing your job, things come together.
No, and that's huge, because, I can tell you from both sides being in band, I still remember my band director, Mr. Carlisle, fantastic guy. I wish I knew what song it was, because I could say it and you'd be like, oh yeah, this one. But, we're sitting there practicing, doing our thing, and everything's going great. But the flute section could not get the melody. And so he'd start over, and then we could just see the level of red on his face every time just get more and more. And then finally, one of the trumpet players, like, he just erupted in class, and he goes to the flautist. Is that how you say it? Yeah, to the flautist, and he goes, "Why is this so hard? It's 3 notes." Over and over, 3 notes, repeat 3 notes. And the band director, he just starts busting up laughing, because, somebody else erupted, not him. But then after that, they all kind of looked like, okay. But then once it finally came together, it was like, holy cow, this is awesome. And, football, I played center, so it's my job to get the ball to the quarterback to start with. If I don't do my job right, nobody else can do their job. And, same facet, if he's throwing the ball down the field, the guy's got to catch it. Doesn't matter what I did. I already did my part, essentially. Then the ball's down the field. So it's all this teamwork that goes into it. And, with that, really there's not a whole lot to say much more within this, but it's a team. Regardless if you're performing, you're a team. If you're doing a choir concert, you're a team. If you're doing a drama production, you're a team. If you're on the football field, you're a team. Other than playing golf where you just play by yourself, you've got to rely on everybody else around you. So with that said, something else with athletics that we're going to hit straight on, because it's been kind of out there a lot, is the new athletic turfs that are getting installed. They're fantastic. They look awesome.
Beautiful.
Skyviews is, holy cow.
I went and looked at it the other day.
Yeah,
it looks great.
It is way cooler than I thought it would be when we were designing them. I'm like, okay, that could be cool, but to see it in person, like, wow. So everybody, I'm going to say everybody generically there is saying, oh, this is just for athletics. No, it's not. It's going to actually be able to be used by your marching band year round. So kind of tell us the advantages that people don't necessarily hear, where you are going to be able to take advantage of them.
Yeah, so they purposely have placed the marching band class at a point in the day that we'll actually have field access during the school day, which is hard to do, especially with PE classes and especially with athletics being part of the school day a little bit. And it's way nicer to march on turf than it is grass, because it's consistent. You don't have to worry about holes in the ground. If you slip and fall, you're not going to get mud all over your clothes. Great. I grew up, my high school actually got turf on its practice fields and its football field around my it's been my sophomore year, junior year. And it's just nice to have the consistency to be able to move and not worry about something.
And especially you mentioned before we hit record, where because you have the class during the day, it takes away from having to practice at night on the parking lot. Yeah,
we're able to take like an hour away. We do need to meet in the evenings just because the 3 classes have to actually meet together. And then some of our staff members work during the day, like most people. And so having them be able to do what they do best and work with the students in the evenings is really important. So we get to use some of the time on that turf. We'll still use the lot It's nice having the parking lot because we can add dots to the parking lot. We can't add dots to the turf. I don't think anyone would like that if we spray paint the turf. But having a grid sometimes is helpful for learning all the movements we do on the field.
And then one thing, last thing about this before, Matt, you get into something on achievements and stuff, lack of a better term here, it really levels the playing field across the 3 high schools. All 3 turfs are going to be the same, different design on them. But as far as the materials, how it's going to be, so really we're going to be at a point where we don't have to hear one school, oh, my field's terrible, I can't ever use it. Now all 3 get to use it and equally, in a sense, and we know there's going to be some differences, but I'm excited to see it because I do, even going to the football games, I'll still enjoy listening to the band at halftime and stuff. It still just brings me back 20 years, good grief, getting old, 20 years to when I was playing in the band. So I'm excited for that. And speaking of some achievements, Matt, you had a question on this.
Yeah, Joe. You've been with Skyview now, leading the band for a year, you said, right?
Correct.
So how was that year? Tell us some of your highlights or achievements.
It's been great. I was able to move from Lone Star up to Skyview, and so I already knew quite a few of the students. There are some students I started on their instrument when they were in 6th grade, and now they're about to be juniors. And then as a program, we were able to get 3rd place at District 3 marching band competition in our class, which was great for us. We were able to really improve over the season. The indoor color guard did really well in their winter season. They snagged some 1st place finishes in some of their competitions, and we even host a show in February when we do run the color guard program. As far as our concert groups, we were able to get some excellence, which the rating systems for concert groups are done on a 5 rated system, where 1 is the highest score you can get, which is superior, 2 is excellent, 3 is good, and then there's things below that. And so we were able to get the wind ensemble got a score of, I think, 85 or 86 with an excellent, and was a really great achievement for the students, and they felt really good about how they did. And that's similar to how the marching band season went. The students felt pretty good on how we were able to do. And the goal in performing arts is not necessarily to defeat your opponents, but to almost improve against yourself. We are competing against ourselves because that is the thing that's more consistent, because other schools have things that they're dealing with, and so things will change year to year. And so we've got to look kind of to ourselves on how we improve every time. And so our goal is to just do better the next year.
And go ahead, Tom.
I was going to say, it's always good to win, though. I mean, we know that, but to your point, in your 1 year, you've had some decent success. And for me, I remember 1 year we were, next year it's like, holy cow, we're good. And then we lose a couple pieces, and then it's like, why am I even playing? Kind of a thing. But we could always gauge ourselves to ourselves. Mm-hmm. If I was a 1A school, we were going against a 4A school in the competition, there's no way. I mean, we had 1 tuba player, me, they had 4. Gee. And, their band size, everything that goes along with it. So to compete against yourself in that aspect actually makes a lot more sense than worrying about what the other school down the road is doing.
Sure.
And Joe, year 1, it sounds like you've already achieved a lot of great things. It sounds like you have a pretty great group of students, and, you're getting not a whole new group, but some new kids, with some leaving, of course. What would you say you've really learned in your first year, and things that you are going to take with you or maybe bring into your second year?
Oh, that's a really, really tough question. Got to look into myself over the summer. That's terrible of you. I think a lot of the first year has been just building my own confidence and knowing how to approach the students in the courses. And I said I'm an oboist. I'm not necessarily a jazz player, but I've been teaching jazz band now. And so the kind of learning and growth and using student knowledge where I might not have it at the moment, and I Obviously, I spend a lot of time outside of the class researching more and getting new information. There's lots of really great local resources, and that's one of the things I really love about the Treasure Valley. Is just branching out and giving the students opportunities. And a lot of the first year is just running by the seat of your pants, hoping that you're catching everything. And I think this next year is going to be a lot of, okay, I know kind of the general idea of when things happen, where I need to be for things, what's expected, and also where can I push students now that I've known them for a year and I know a little more of what their abilities are. And I think that's kind of the really cool thing, is being able to then go, okay, where can I take them next?
That's awesome.
So looking at things, especially an upcoming fundraiser that you have, I mean, I'm still waiting for Kendall Ford to come in and be like, okay, we want to sponsor this. This will be the Kendall Ford, studio kind of a thing. And it's, just joking about that. But if they are listening, we'll gladly take it and name the studio. But you guys have a fireworks sale that's starting really soon. I believe today, day one.
Oh, wow. That's very soon.
There we go. So tell us about the fireworks sale. And before we get into that side of it, I do just want to make a kind of disclaimer saying here that, we are very appreciative of everybody that voted their levy, and the bands, the arts, they do get a good portion of the levy money, but there's still a reason why we are doing a fundraiser sale. So kind of talk to us about that.
Sure. So the fireworks fundraiser started quite a while ago, and it is run by our booster organization. It's the main fundraiser that they do throughout the year. It's all parent and student run. They are at the corner of Southside and Greenhurst. I think that's the location. And so a lot of what this fundraiser will do is kind of support the band throughout the fall and some of the other events that they'll contribute to throughout the rest of the year when it comes to meals and transporting our equipment and trailers and things like that. There's also some other things that they help fund throughout the year that, while we do get a really great amount from the district thanks to the levy, that this then supports that for things that maybe aren't appropriate to use levy funds for.
No, it makes sense. So are there some other ways that the community could also get involved? I mean, obviously they can go out buy fireworks. I mean,
Yes,
4th of July is coming up. Are you open to having an ICCU band trailer? Those kind of things. Like, is that open?
The boosters actually do sponsorships on the trailer. So that is something that they are actively pursuing. So if anyone is interested in that, the Skyview Band and Guard at gmail.com, I think, is their email. And they can maybe put in some funds to be a sponsor on the band trailer. There's always other ways to contribute with donations to the program that can be made through the school, or even donating food items, so that way the boosters can just prep it and then it's already ready for our competition days. We're doing 5 competitions this season, with one of them being out of state. And so there's also some costs associated with going out of state. Charter buses are expensive. Hotels are expensive, and we want to keep costs low for students to be able to participate in these things. So,
Joe, I think you were just really hitting it on the head right there with the importance of fundraisers like this. But in your own words, how important are these kind of fundraisers? The
fundraisers in general, if we didn't have to do them, we wouldn't.
Yeah.
But to be the most funded performing arts organizations, it takes a lot. And so these kind of things are what help keep us sustained and really allow us to create experiences for students. Instruments are not cheap. I mentioned right before we started, a Barry sax is quite a few $1,000s. There's some instruments, like a bassoon, can run you between $8,000 to $30,000, depending on the model that you're trying to buy. We will not be buying a $30,000 bassoon. I'm not going to put that in the hands of a 9th grader.
Good call.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah.
But especially as prices rise, and it's hard for everybody, prices rise for us too.
No, so I'm going to ask you a bonus question here, and I didn't say this on purpose, just because I want to get your reaction. So thinking all-time movies. So the topic is going to be movies, and it's going to be a movie about music and band, those kind of things. So what is your favorite go-to music-related movie, and why is it Mr. Holland's Opus?
Richard drank
I've never watched it.
Oh, man.
I'm not necessarily a movie person. I will admit that right off the bat. There's not a whole lot of movies that I've seen that involve band. Drumline is an interesting movie that is not relevant to what we do on the northern half of the country too much.
What about like a musical production?
I have some really favorite musicals. I'm trying to think of what one is the best one to say, because I am pretty stereotypical and generic with some of my musical choices. Much more interested in kind of the 1990s onward. I'm not much of like a 1950s musical fan, but things like Rent are really fun.
Sure.
Next to Normal is a great show. I probably could go on. I've got like 70 musicals on. The Lord of the Rings musical is pretty cool to listen to.
Oh, cool. Huh. See, and I was in Pirates of the Penzance, so I mean, there you go.
Got some like opera in there.
Yeah, no, those are fun. So we've covered a lot today, and it's been awesome to learn more about Skyview Band, marching band, and then just everything else in general. Is there any final thoughts or messages that you'd like to share with those that are listening?
Sure. I know that in general, our secondary music cohort, PLC, PLT, whatever terminology you want to use of the day, really is grateful for a lot of the support that we've gotten from our community. Not every community is as lucky to get funds like we do in Nampa School District through the levy system, and we really do appreciate the support we get, and we have some wonderful parents and wonderful students, and we all really enjoy what we do. And so, I mean, I'm from 2,000 miles away, and I really don't regret working at Skyview at all. It's been a great experience, and I'm looking forward to more years to come.
To many, many more years to come.
That's right. Yeah.
Matt?
And I mean, that's amazing. And, of course, like you were just talking about, the community here loves to support schools, loves to support each other, really. That's something I've realized since I got here many years ago. It's really a beautiful thing to see. So one more time, why don't you talk about where people can go to support the fundraiser, get their fireworks, and how long it's going, maybe hours too?
Yeah, I've totally got that information in my head. I did look it up right before this.
Nice.
So the fundraiser runs from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. each day, starting today or yesterday, depending on when this gets posted, Monday, whatever
or
day
Tuesday.
that is. And it'll run through January 5th. January 5th's hours are a little
July
different.
5th.
Whoa, yeah.
Thank you.
Whoa.
Go.
Yeah, let's go Christmas.
Yeah, happy holidays. Thank you. July 5th. I don't think the boosters would really be excited about a fundraiser that goes till January.
Be busy.
Yeah, it'll be on the corner of Southside and Greenhurst. And they're kind of back around that little grocery store gas station. There's like a food place actually right next to it. So you can get some fireworks and then some food and then get your gas. Maybe get your gas before you get the fireworks.
Yes, good call. Always smart.
Running 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. July 5th is the last day. So
it's not a fundraiser running through January with fireworks.
No.
Though that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Thanksgiving will be wild.
All right. Well, thank you again, Joe, for joining us. And thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in to episode 2 of the Nampa School District Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode, where we'll continue to explore important topics and the inside of the Nampa School District. So until next time, we'll see you later.
Yeah.
I don't know. We got to figure out how to end this thing.
I like that. We'll see you later. Thanks for being here, Joe.
Of course.